Hey everybody, Mr. Dennis here, bringing you some more drawing instruction for your skill building as we do here. This is Woodside Art Studio. Welcome to the art room at Woodside Middle School. Today we are going to cover a bunch of drawing instruction. We are going to start off with tips and tricks that will help you with drawing, and then we're going to start to move into a series of videos that are going to help you draw the features of the human face. So we're going to concentrate on eyes, noses, mouths, and ears. First, to cover basic things that will make you better at drawing anything. One of the first ones, and maybe most important, that I always put in bold, is be observant. You have to notice stuff. Drawing is not about how well your hands work. Okay? It is based on your eyes and your brain. It is what you see and transferring it to your paper. Okay? So you have to be observant. That is one of the things that artists do better than most people. If you've been trained as an artist, you are more observant than the everyday person. Okay? Next thing on the list is contrast. Drawings have to have dark and light. If everything's kind of medium gray, you're not going to be able to see everything. So you have to start to really look for, where are my darkest areas, where are my lightest areas. One of the ways you can do that is to make sure that you really work on your shading. So in the exercises that we have coming up, they are very much based in shading. Some of the things that you can do, or one of the main things that you can do, to make sure that you can see the darkest areas and the lightest areas, is to actually blur your vision on purpose. Seems really weird. Some people will do it by crossing their eyes slightly. Some people will do it by squinting. Okay? I am a cross-eye person. I've had friends that are squinters. They back up and they do this. But by squinting or blurring your vision, you can actually begin to see the shapes of the darkest areas and the shapes of the lightest areas more clearly. Okay, so that is one of the keys or tricks to being able to start seeing all the parts of shading. Okay, when we start to draw, really one of the best things you can do as another tip or trick is to actually start with the big basic shapes first. Okay? If you start with those big basic shapes and get those the right size and in the right place and in the right shape, then you can start to work your way down into details. If you try to start with details and work your way out, often things end up in the wrong places or the wrong size. There are a few artists that can do it that way. I've had a few of those, so it's not always the way that it works, but mostly it does. Okay. When we're starting to draw the features of the human face, one of the things that you need to do to really make your drawings more convincing is to put it into context. Okay, just like when you learn words by the context around them, when you start to draw features of the human face, such as eyes, it helps to do some of the other things around it. For example, draw the bridge of the nose, draw the eyebrow, draw the eyelid. Don't just draw just the eyeball. Okay, because that leaves all the context around it out. The drawing is going to look more complete. It's going to be more convincing if you put it into context. Next thing, I'm going to use this photo right here. Not a bad set of eyes to draw. Might be the one that I demonstrate. We'll see here. But one of the things that you can do, especially when you're focusing on just an area that you're trying to improve, is to actually fold it down. If I fold this down and focus on just the part that I want, I'm going to do a better job of drawing that, okay? Rather than having the entire thing all exposed and being distracted by all the other things going on. I'm going to fold it down to just the part that I'm drawing, and then I'm going to also keep it close to where I'm drawing. Okay, I'm going to put it right next to it so my eyes don't have to travel very far, because remember, our first rule is be observant, okay? One of the other tricks that is going to be on this list, especially for noses, is to actually flip it upside down. So if I take this right here, and when I'm drawing the nose especially, I flip it upside down, one of the things that does is it starts to distract me from looking at it as a nose. This is not a nose, by the way. Okay, that's not a nose. That's a bunch of ink on a piece of paper. Okay, so what I'm looking to do while I'm drawing is actually I'm looking to copy the shapes of the shading. Okay, if I do that correctly, it will look like a nose. Okay, that's a hard thing to kind of grasp at first, but after you start to do it, you'll realize that you're much more successful if you're able to just look at the shapes of the shading and reproduce those. That's really what drawing is. Okay. One of the other tricks that you can use that is on my list, it's one of the last ones, is trace and transfer. So what I might do is, as I'm getting ready to draw this eye, I might hover my pencil over it. I don't believe in any kind of tracing, but if you hover and kind of get used to the shape, so I might take my pencil and go ahead and hover and kind of practice that shape just over it, and then move over to my paper and do that same shape. Okay? Trace and transfer is a good way to get a shape kind of in your muscle memory and then move over and do it quickly before you lose it. Short-term muscle memory. Okay? Last thing on there that I'm a big believer in. Sometimes there are little teeny tiny fine highlights that are easier to erase in. So sometimes it works better to actually shade an entire area in and then go ahead and erase the highlight back in the shape that you see, especially if you're blurring your vision. It works really well. So we're going to move on to the actual drawing exercise, where I'm going to demonstrate how to draw eyes, noses, mouths, and ears. I'm going to do that in a series of videos, so it's much easier to digest and focus on. Thanks.